hamburger is a global powerhouse. McDonald's alone sells nearly 75 billion burgers a year globally. But no one is as hungry for burgers as Americans, accounting for nearly 50 of that 75 billion. And that's just McDonald's. They really are a dietary and cultural staple in the United States. So, how did that come to be? How did America fall in love with the burger, and what are its origins? Seeing as we're Knowledge Burger, it seems appropriate for us to cover this topic. There's a lot of debate and ambiguity on the exact origins of the hamburger, mostly because it may or may not have been an iteration of the Hamburg steak, which, as you may have guessed, comes from the German town of Hamburg. So, what is a Hamburg steak? Well, it's a patty made up of ground beef cooked in a pan and usually served with gravy. Germans have been happily eating this dish since the 17th century. Hamburg steak made its way over to the United States in the mid-1800s and was served in New York's legendary Delmonico's restaurant, which sold for 11 cents, which was expensive at the time, more than twice the price of a filet. So, even then, fancy restaurants were jacking up the prices. Obviously, the Hamburg steak is very similar to that of an American hamburger, but of course, there is no bun. So when did the buns get added? This is when it gets hard to pinpoint the exact moment of iteration. You see, Hamburg steak sandwiches have been advertised in the United States since the 1890s, and there are many people who have tried to lay claim to the invention of the hamburger. From Louis Lasson, who claimed to have invented it in 1900 in his Connecticut restaurant Louis's Lunch, forming a beef patty out of trimmings and putting it between two slices of toast. Some people say it doesn't count because the bread was toasted, but considering most restaurants toast their buns these days, I think we can retroactively give him a pass. Charlie and the Green sold a meatball between two slices of bread in 1885 at the Seymour Fair in Wisconsin. According to the Seymour County Historical Society, Charlie named it after the Hamburg steak so that German immigrants would recognize it. White Castle claims a fellow named Otto Kasse invented it in 1891 by cooking a ground beef patty and serving it with a fried egg. Frank and Charles Mencius claim to have invented it at a fair in New York when they ran out of sausage and had to come up with something to sell on the fly, so they bought up some chopped beef from a butcher and invented the sandwich. Notably, the claim is that it was named after Hamburg, New York, not Germany. There are some inconsistencies with this story, like how it either happened in 1885 or 1892, and it was either at the Hamburg Fair in New York or the Summit County Fair in Akron, Ohio. The one thing we know about this timeline for sure is when and how the popularity of the hamburger exploded in the United States. In 1904, the World's Fair was held in St. Louis, and there, multiple vendors were offering what would be 100% identifiable as a hamburger. This is when people en masse got their hands on the burger. Not long after, in 1921, the first restaurant dedicated to burgers opened up, known as White Castle. So, when it comes down to who gets to claim the invention of the hamburger, Germany or America, you really need to ask, what exactly is a burger? Because do these two dishes even look like the same thing? Does making it a sandwich change the dish? If you think these are two separate things, then very clearly hamburgers were invented in America. But if you think the origin is more valid than the iteration, then the hamburger wasn't invented in Germany either. If we follow the logic of those who claim Germany is the inventor of the burger, the true inventor of the burger was actually the Romans. You see, the Romans had a dish that was very similar to that of a Hamburg steak, a chopped meat patty that could be made with a variety of meats, and beef was certainly one of the main options. You would take the ingredients, grind them all down together, shape the meat into either a ball or a patty, cook it up, and eat it. No bun or gravy. If you want to know more details about this ancient Roman burger, Max Miller has a fantastic video on it, which I highly recommend. Given what I know about the passage of time, this Roman burger certainly predates the Hamburg steak, and one could qualify it as the precursor to the Hamburg steak. So now the question is, who invented the burger? America or Rome? Because if all that matters is what came before, even if it's different from the dish you're talking about, Rome definitely came first. So no matter which way you bite your burger, the burger was definitely not invented in Germany. Today, burgers are enjoyed all around the world, with many different cultures creating their own version of the burger. Not to mention, the term burger has come to mean something totally different from your run-of-the-mill hamburger. You can get chicken burgers, veggie burgers, salmon burgers, knowledge burgers, breakfast burgers, pork burgers. Basically anything you want can be a burger. No matter your lifestyle, whether you're a vegan, a vegetarian, or none of the above, there is a burger for you to enjoy. So, does it really matter who invented it? The reality is, no one person can lay claim to the invention. It's more likely that a bunch of different people had the same idea around the same time, all independently from each other. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because burgers are for everyone. If you want more details on everything we talked about today, you should start with all the articles we used in the making of this video, which are all in the description. And don't forget to check out Tasting History with Max Miller. And if you're hungry for more burgers, subscribe so you don't miss out when we serve our next Tasty Knowledge Burger.